Have you ever wondered why your hardest efforts feel invisible until the exact moment you finally succeed? Why does the world stay silent through your struggles, only to erupt in applause once you've already won? And what if the silence you fear right now isn't rejection at all, but the very forge shaping the proof the world cannot ignore? Here's how this story unfolds. First, we face the cold rule. Effort is invisible and proof is the only language the world understands. No one cares until you win. Second, we turn potential into proof by closing the fatal gap between words and action, by starting small, executing daily and stacking visible evidence of progress. Third, we learn to outlast silence with discipline. Stop consuming and start creating. Make deposits into your bank of self-belief. Escape perfectionism. Count reps, not applause. Clap for yourself and trust the world's timeline. If these three arcs resonate, stay with me, because the path you're on is about to turn your quiet work into undeniable proof. Think of it this way: the hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. You've been there before. You stayed up late working until your eyes blurred. You sacrificed weekends, birthdays, and moments of rest. You whispered to yourself, one day they'll see. But the next morning the world was silent. No applause, no recognition, not even a nod. And maybe in that silence you asked yourself, does any of this matter if no one cares? That question cuts deep, but the answer is harsher than the question itself. The world doesn't care about your effort. It only cares about your proof. This is the lesson most people refuse to learn. The lesson that breaks many hearts and kills many dreams. Until you win, your work remains invisible. Think of the farmer. He plants seeds, waters the soil, guards against weeds. Day after day he toils, but to anyone watching, the field looks empty. If you pass by, you might laugh and say, he's wasting his time. But months later, when the crops rise tall and golden, the same people will say, what a brilliant farmer. He knew all along. Think of it this way: the hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted, they are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. That is the way of life. Effort is invisible. Proof is undeniable. The young boxer in the gym, throwing punches at midnight while no one is watching, is ignored. But the day he wins the championship, the same world that doubted him suddenly claims they believed in him all along. This is why so many give up early. They expect recognition during the struggle, but recognition only comes after the harvest. Marcus Aurelius never expected applause when he woke before dawn to do his duty. Epictetus didn't ask for sympathy for being born a slave. They understood the law. The world does not pay attention to effort, it pays attention to results. It sounds cruel, but in reality it is freedom. Because once you accept this truth, you stop begging for recognition. You stop wasting energy chasing applause. Instead, you pour it all into the only thing you truly control: the work. Look at the stories we celebrate. Michael Jordan didn't become a legend because he said he would. In fact, as a teenager, he was cut from his high school basketball team. Back then, no one cared about his sweat, his early mornings, or his bruised hands. But after years of relentless work, after 6 championships, the world couldn't ignore him. His proof spoke louder than any promise. Vincent van Gogh created over 2,000 pieces of art, but in his lifetime, he sold only 1. To his neighbors, he looked like a failure, an unstable man wasting his time. They didn't see proof, only struggle. But today, his paintings hang in the most prestigious galleries. Proof arrived, but too late for him to enjoy it. Think of it this way: the hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Steve Jobs dreamed of changing the world. People mocked him. His vision was dismissed as arrogance. But when Apple delivered the iPhone, when proof was in their hands, the world rewrote his story. Suddenly he was a genius. This is the pattern. Potential and effort mean nothing until they crystallize into proof. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Don't tell people about your potential. Don't explain your hard work. Show them through what you produce." It's not because people are cruel. It's because they are busy with their own battles. Everyone is fighting in silence. Everyone is carrying invisible burdens. And so, unless your results shine bright enough to break through the noise, your struggle blends into the background. This is why the world seems indifferent. It is not waiting for your story. It is waiting for your proof. Does that mean your effort is wasted? Absolutely not. Effort is the foundation. Proof is the house. But you cannot ask the world to praise a foundation they cannot see. That's why so many people quit too early. They think silence means failure. But in truth, silence is simply the season before the harvest. The Stoics knew that external recognition was never the measure of a life well lived. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Recognition is an outside event. You cannot control it." Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. What you can control is the discipline of showing up, the decision to act even when ignored, the commitment to finish what you started even if nobody claps. The crowd's silence is not punishment, it is the training ground. It is the forge where you learn to stand alone. Think of silence as the gym where your resilience is built. Every day you show up in silence, you train your will. And one day, when the proof arrives, the applause will not shake you, because you no longer depend on it. Here is the paradox. The moment you accept that no one cares until you win, you are free. Free from chasing validation. Free from wasting time explaining yourself. Free from the endless cycle of seeking approval. You no longer need to convince others. You no longer need their encouragement. You focus entirely on building results that speak for themselves. And when results speak, the world listens. So ask yourself, are you willing to endure the silence until your proof arrives? Are you willing to plant without applause, to water without praise, to build without recognition? Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof, because that is what separates the few who win from the many who quit. This is the first truth you must hold close. Effort is invisible. Proof is undeniable, and no one cares until you win. But knowing this truth leads to the next challenge. How do you handle potential that never becomes proof? How do you close the gap between the words you speak and the actions you take? That's where we continue in the next part. We ended the last section with this truth. Effort is invisible. Proof is undeniable. But there's another illusion that traps millions. The illusion of potential. From the time we are children, people say, "You're talented. You're smart. You'll do something great someday." At first, those words feel like a prophecy. But the truth, potential is not destiny. It is debt. Potential creates expectation without execution. It makes you feel accomplished without actually achieving anything. That's why it is so dangerous. It comforts the ego while starving reality. Think of the countless students praised as gifted. Many of them grow into adults who achieve little because they learned to live off compliments instead of proof. Potential gave them pride but never discipline. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Van Gogh had potential. He painted in obscurity, mocked and ignored. Only one painting sold in his lifetime. People saw no proof, only struggle. Today his art is priceless, but recognition came too late for him. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter as a single mother living on welfare. She submitted her manuscript and was rejected by 12 publishers. At the time, people didn't see potential, they saw failure. But when the series became a global phenomenon, proof spoke louder than rejection. Epictetus said it best: "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, don't tell us who you could be. Show us who you are becoming. Potential is like holding a seed in your hand. It may contain infinite life, but until you plant, water, and grow it, it remains useless. Proof is the harvest the world can see, taste, and believe. Why do we cling to potential so tightly? Because it feels safe to say, "I could be great," costs nothing. You can dream without consequence. But proof demands sacrifice, late nights, risk, rejection, failure. Proof demands the courage to begin and the patience to persist. That's why so many stay in the comfort of potential. It lets them live in a fantasy of greatness without paying the price. But here's the hard truth. The world does not reward your dreams. It rewards your proof. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. A startup founder with $1 billion idea is just another dreamer until something is launched. A musician with endless talent is just another face until songs are recorded and heard. Potential is cheap. Proof is priceless. This brings us to the next silent killer of dreams, the gap between what we say and what we do. How many times have you told yourself, "Tomorrow I'll start," but tomorrow came and nothing changed? Or promised a friend, "I'm working on something big." Months later, you had nothing to show. Every broken promise erodes not only your credibility with others, but your faith in yourself. And when you no longer believe your own words, you are trapped. This is why so many live bitter lives. They speak of dreams but never move. They announce goals but never act. And slowly they lose not just time but their own trust. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. The greatest waste is not idleness. It is living inside promises that never materialize." Words echo. Action builds. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. A writer who drafts one messy page a day will finish a book. A dreamer who talks about writing for 10 years will die with nothing written. A musician who records raw demos will improve. The one who waits for inspiration will remain silent. An athlete who trains quietly will advance. The one who talks about training will stagnate. Action doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. Think of a sculptor staring at a block of marble. He could describe the statue hidden inside. But until he picks up the chisel, the marble remains the same. Each strike, messy and imperfect, brings the vision to life. Your life works the same way. No one sees your imagined statue. They only see the figure you carve through consistent blows of effort. So how do you close the gap between words and action? Start small, start now. Write one line, do one rep, take one step. Don't wait for perfect timing, it never comes. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Detach from applause. Don't measure early effort by recognition. Silence is natural in the beginning. Stack the wins. Each completed action is a deposit into the bank of self-belief. Over time, these deposits grow into unshakable confidence. Every finished task whispers to your soul, "I can trust myself again." And that trust is the foundation of greatness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste the rest of your life arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Likewise, don't waste your life explaining what you might do or could do or intend to do. Don't waste it talking about potential. Don't waste it promising results that never appear. Be the proof, because words fade, potential fades. But action endures. So here's where we stand. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Potential is worthless without proof. Words are empty without action. Trust, both from others and from yourself, is earned only by doing. But once you begin, another battle waits. Your motivation will fail you. The spark will fade. And only discipline, the ability to keep moving without applause, will carry you through. In the last part, we saw how potential means nothing without proof and how words are empty without action. But even when you begin to act, another test rises, one that silently breaks more people than failure ever does. That test is your dependence on motivation. Motivation feels powerful. It fills you with energy. It makes you believe you can do anything. But motivation is like a guest. It arrives when it wants and it leaves when you need it most. Think back. How many times have you felt inspired to start something? A new project, a workout routine, a habit. The first few days felt amazing. You told yourself, "This time is different." But soon the spark faded. One skipped day became two, then a week, and finally the dream collapsed. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. That's the problem with motivation. It is emotional. It is fleeting. If your progress depends on motivation, your journey will stop the moment your mood changes. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, uninspired, or in pain. Discipline simply commands, show up, do the work. Cristiano Ronaldo once said, "Without discipline, talent is nothing." He didn't become one of the greatest athletes because he woke up motivated every day. He became great because he trained relentlessly, long after teammates went home. Kobe Bryant had the same mindset. He was known to arrive at the gym at 4 a.m., hours before anyone else. Not because he felt like it, but because he built his life on discipline. His greatness was not the product of mood, but of routine. Serena Williams carried the same truth. She competed through pain, through fatigue, even while pregnant. Do you think she felt motivated every single day? No. What carried her forward was discipline. Marcus Aurelius admitted in Meditations that many mornings he didn't want to rise from bed. But he reminded himself, "You were born to work. Why lie here in comfort when the duty of a human being awaits?" Motivation didn't wake him. Duty and discipline did. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the steady flame that survives storms. Without discipline, you will always restart. With discipline, you keep building, even when the fire feels dim. Motivation feels intoxicating because it spikes your dopamine. It tricks you into thinking progress is easy. That's why so many set New Year's resolutions with excitement, only to give up by February. The emotion wore off. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. But discipline doesn't wear off. It builds momentum through habit. Discipline says, I run because I said I would. I write because it is today, not because I feel like it. Epictetus reminded his students daily, no great thing is created suddenly. You cannot build strength overnight. You cannot master anything in a week. Progress is slow, and slow progress is unbearable without discipline. So ask yourself, will you keep going when the fire of motivation dies? Or will you let your dream die with it? Because proof only comes after years of consistent action, and consistency belongs not to motivation, but to discipline. Even with discipline, another trial awaits, the hardest one of all, silence. Imagine this, you wake up early, you train, you write, you work. You sacrifice weekends, parties, sleep. You put in the hours, but when you look around, no one notices. No applause, no recognition, only silence. This is where most break. They confuse silence with failure. But silence is not failure. Silence is the forge. Think of a seed. For weeks it lies buried underground, unseen. To the impatient it looks dead, but in silence roots form. Life takes hold. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Think of steel. It doesn't become a sword after one strike. It must endure fire, hammer, and darkness before it is admired. Think of Marcus Aurelius again. He never published meditations. He wrote privately in silence for himself. Centuries later, the world discovered his words and called him wise. His greatness was forged in silence. Silence is not punishment. It is preparation. Silence strips away illusions. It forces you to ask, am I doing this for applause or because it matters? If your answer is applause, you will quit. But if your answer is meaning, you will endure. Silence is also where mastery is born. Every artist, every athlete, every thinker you admire went through years of obscurity. Van Gogh painted in poverty. Beethoven composed pieces no one wanted to hear. Epictetus taught in exile. Their proof took time. Their silence was not wasted. It was the soil where greatness grew. Silence is a hidden gift. It trains you to detach from approval. It teaches you to measure success, not by recognition, but by consistency. It sharpens your focus, your resilience, your identity. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Think of silence as your secret apprenticeship. The world may not see you, but you are sharpening your sword, deepening your roots, preparing for the day when proof appears. So here's the truth. Potential without proof is nothing. Words without action are empty. Motivation without discipline is fragile. And silence, the silence you fear, is not the end. It is the forge that shapes you. But silence holds its own temptations. In the quiet, it is easy to waste your time consuming instead of creating, chasing perfection instead of progress, seeking applause instead of consistency. That is where we continue in Part 1D. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. In silence, you face a subtle trap. You tell yourself you are working on it, but in truth, you are only consuming. You read more books, watch more videos, listen to more podcasts. You scroll endlessly, convincing yourself it's research. But knowledge without execution is another illusion. Think of it like eating without moving. You become full but never strong. You gather ideas but never apply them. And slowly you drown in information, mistaking preparation for progress. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb by reading about fire. He experimented. He failed thousands of times, but each attempt was proof. Each failure was a step forward. Execution, even messy execution, beats perfect consumption. So ask yourself, are you building or are you only scrolling? Are you creating or are you just collecting? Because the world doesn't care how much you know. It only cares what you prove. But how do you keep going when proof is far away, when no one notices, when even you begin to doubt yourself? You build a bank of self-belief. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Every action you complete, no matter how small, is a deposit. Every time you do what you said you would, you add to your balance. Over time, this account grows into unshakable confidence. But the reverse is also true. Every time you break your word, you make a withdrawal. You weaken your account. Eventually, you become bankrupt of belief. That's why discipline matters. That's why silence matters. Every day you show up, you're not just building results, you're building trust with yourself. Steve Jobs once said, "Real artists ship." In other words, real creators deliver. They finish. They show proof, even if imperfect. Each finished piece is a deposit into their bank. The truth is simple. People who win don't always have more talent. They just have larger reserves of self-belief built from years of small, consistent deposits. So ask yourself, what are you depositing today? Are you adding to your account or draining it? Another enemy lurks here, perfectionism. So many people never release their work because it isn't good enough. They wait for the perfect version, the flawless moment, the guaranteed success. But perfection is a prison. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Beethoven composed 9 symphonies, but he also wrote countless unfinished drafts. Edison created the light bulb, but only after thousands of broken prototypes. J.K. Rowling edited Harry Potter endlessly, but it began with a messy manuscript written in cafes. Perfectionism kills momentum. Progress comes only through release, review, and revision. The Stoics understood this. Seneca wrote, "It is better to progress slowly than to stand still." Flawed progress is infinitely better than flawless intention. So let your work be imperfect. Let it be seen, criticized, refined. That is the only way proof is born. Now comes another silent danger. Measuring the wrong things. You post your work online. You share your art, your ideas, your training, and then you wait. How many likes? How many views? How many subscribers? But applause is a terrible metric. It is unpredictable, fleeting, outside your control. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. What you can measure are your repetitions. Did you show up today? Did you put in the work? Did you make one more attempt? A bodybuilder doesn't count compliments in the gym. He counts reps. A writer doesn't count praise. She counts pages written. This is the mindset that builds greatness. Proof is created not by applause but by accumulation. Each rep is a brick. Each day is a stone. Over years, they form an unshakable foundation. Marcus Aurelius never asked how many applauded his words. He asked whether he had lived according to reason and virtue that day. His reps were in character, not in recognition. So ask yourself, are you counting applause or are you counting repetitions? And in this lonely process, there is one more skill you must master. Learning to clap for yourself, because the truth is the crowd won't always clap. In fact, they often won't. And if your survival depends on their noise, you will starve in silence. So celebrate small wins. Praise yourself for showing up. Recognize progress others cannot see. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. When you know your standard, you don't need the crowd's approval. You clap because you honored your own word. This isn't arrogance. It's survival. It's the ability to keep moving in silence without collapsing. The applause of the world is delayed, but your own applause can keep you alive long enough to see it. Finally, remember this. The world has its own timeline. You cannot control when recognition arrives. Sometimes it comes too late. Sometimes it comes after you've already endured years of invisibility. But proof takes time. Roots don't break soil overnight. Rivers don't carve valleys in a week. Empires aren't built in a month. Your job is not to predict the timing. Your job is to persist until timing aligns with proof. Marcus Aurelius endured decades of war and disease, yet his legacy outlived him. Van Gogh died before his art was valued. Nikola Tesla's inventions changed the world long after he was gone. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Their timeline was different, but their proof endured. So trust the process. Trust that silence and discipline will ripen into proof in their season. Now you see the full picture. Potential is worthless without proof. Words are empty without action. Motivation is fragile without discipline. Silence is the forge where strength is born. Progress requires execution, not consumption. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. Confidence grows from deposits of self-belief. Perfectionism kills. Progress saves. Reps matter more than applause. Self-recognition fuels the lonely path. And above all, trust the world's timeline. This is why no one cares until you win. Because until proof arrives, the world remains silent. But what happens when proof does arrive? What happens when you finally win? That is where part 2 begins. Because once you win, the world's silence turns into noise, and its indifference turns into obsession. And that change is a test of its own. Think of it this way. The hours of struggle that no one sees are not wasted. They are the foundation. Behind every song on stage are countless missed notes in practice. Behind every winning speech are failed drafts in the dark. This hidden grind is what transforms potential into proof. So stay with us. Subscribe Stoic Havenway if you haven't already, because the second half of this journey will show you not just how to win, but how to survive the world's reaction to your victory. And thank you for walking this path in silence with me.